Thanks for joining us today at Take 5. I'm Guy Duininck. We're teaching on the subject of patience in this series of teachings, and it's been very, very interesting. And as I was teaching, I was thinking, somebody might wonder, like, what's the difference then between patience and grace? If patience is a capacity to hold steady, then I thought it was grace that makes us strong, being strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus, like Paul said to Timothy. And here's probably a bit of a difference, although sometimes I don't like to get I like to get technical and take things apart to teach them, but there can be a lot of overlap in these various qualities. But when you go boldly to the throne of grace, to receive grace to help you in your time of need, that strengthening you receive in your inner man comes from the Lord. So it's given to you as a commodity. A commodity of strength is added to you, like charging up your battery. When you charge your battery, it's not the battery exercising itself, it's the battery having something contributed to it from an outside source. So when we go to the throne of grace, God strengthens us from an outside source and increases our capacity. Patience is a little different, because patience is something you can also cultivate and grow and develop and get bigger by exercising it yourself. And we left off in our last teaching in the book of James. James said some interesting things. He said, "My brethren, count it all joy." This is James chapter 1 verse 2. "Brethren, count it all joy when you fall into, or when you come upon, or you enter into diverse temptations." Now, a temptation is not just a temptation to sin. In the Greek language and in this context, it can mean anything that is a difficulty that makes an impact on your faith. The word diverse is actually the Greek poikilos, and poikilos means extremely diverse. And you know what? Many, many, many kind of things can come upon us, or we can enter into as we enter into Monday and enter into Wednesday and enter into the weekend and enter into 2018 and enter into the future. We can come upon all kind of difficulties, and all kind of difficulties can come upon us. Typically, the typical human and the typical Christian responsibility to the rising up of difficulty against us is, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I just got done going through something yesterday, and now I need to go." Have people ever asked you, or have you ever heard somebody say, "Well, I'm really going through some things"? Somebody said to me a while back, "Yeah, I'm really going through." And I said, "Well, I'm glad you're going through," because you don't want to get stuck in, you want to go through. Do you know, to actually go through, you have to be strong. You have to have vision. You have to have sight. You have to keep your hope up. We need a little more teaching about hope in the church. But we're talking in this little series of teaching on the subject of patience. James said, "Count it all joy." In other words, say to yourself, you know what, this is actually a good thing. This is not a bad thing. This is an opportunity. See, the difficulties of life, they could be your enemies, or you could make them your training partners. When you have wisdom and knowledge, it doesn't change the things around you, but it changes how you relate to the things around you. So James said, count it all joy when no matter what manner of difficulty is rising up against you, knowing this, knowing this, knowing. See, this is a huge problem in the church. A lot of times people don't know. They don't know things, and when you don't know things, you don't relate to things as you should. The way that we should respond to the difficulties is we should rise up into them, hold steady in them, and also be saying to ourselves, although this is not enjoyable, it's going to produce something in me. It's like going to the gym. Who wants to go to the gym and pick up a dumbbell, you dumbbell? I mean, seriously. That's not fun. That's work. It hurts. It can be painful. It can be stressful. It stresses your whole system and makes you sweat. Why do you do it then? Because you know that there's an outcome you can get that you can't get other ways. We are made for resistance. You know what happens to you if there's no resistance in your life? Well, ask an astronaut who goes into space where there's no gravity. You know what happens to his whole muscular system? Everything atrophies. One of the best ways to build your strength is to rise up against those things that are rising up against you, not in anger, but in joy, knowing this, that the testing of your faith, we can just say, when your life of faith, as a believer, when your life of faith experiences testing, count it all joy, knowing that this exercises your patience. Thanks for joining us today on Take 5.